They were built to defend the coast of Britain. They were kept operational around the clock, but one day somebody decided, meh, get rid of them. Find out why these batteries are now obsolete on this episode of Battery Charge. Hello YouTubers and welcome to Battery Charge, the amateur history show that looks at the positives and negatives of a battery. I'm your host for this episode, Roscoe.
So we are here on the coast of Cornwall, near Kingsdown, and we're here to investigate what remains of Penlee Battery and asking the question, why are batteries like this one now obsolete?
As always, we don't claim to be any kind of experts. We don't use geophysics or even trowels to excavate. We use research to pinpoint a location and observation to investigate. So most of the facts and figures we use on the Battery Charge have been sourced from the web. So check out our references and links in the description below. We also like to hear your comments and opinions, so leave us a question or comment below and click subscribe.
Okay guys, you're going to have to use your imagination a little bit on this one. The area is very overgrown and there is not a lot to suggest there was a battery over here.
I know what you mean, it really does look pretty overgrown. Let's go and take a look around this site. According to our references, this site is roughly 400 metres in length. That's huge!
Crikey, that's a lot of room for some serious firepower. Well Mike, according to our resources shown in the description below, this battery was built in 1892. The site was abandoned in 1956, and during the 70s the magazines were filled in and the buildings demolished. This land is now a nature preserve.
Okay, let's go and see what's left. What do you reckon to this here, mate?
I would say it's the outline of the magazine.
I think you might be right. So where we are today, Gunny, is the car park, but back in the day, apparently this was barracks or a cookhouse for the soldiers.
Yes, Mike, because like a lot of batteries around the country, this one would have been crewed more or less around the clock, so the soldiers would need somewhere to eat, sleep and
be soldiers?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. So Gunny, our references refer to this area as having auxiliary buildings. What are auxiliary buildings?
Good question, Mike, good question. Auxiliary buildings are in this instance additional buildings for working behind the scenes and keep the battery running. For example, a workshop to make or repair tools, a plotting room to work distance and range of the targets.
I think I can see the outline of a gun apron here. It looks massive, much bigger than the one we saw at Penlee Battery. Roscoe, is there anything that you can tell us about this battery at Penlee?
Well Mike, according to our references, what makes this site significant is apparently it was an experimental coastal defence. This battery had the longest long-range guns in the coastal area at the time, a huge 13.5 inch breech-loading naval gun. These are designed to defend against dreadnoughts, big battleships with similar firepower.
They sound pretty huge guns, Roscoe. I mean, surely the enemy would have spotted them miles away.
It was planned to have a disappearing mount installed so that enemy ships couldn't get to the range of the guns. We'll look more at the retractable gun mounts later on in the series.
During our research for this location, we found some old stock footage of an artillery competition filmed in 1935. The footage is copyright by British Pathé, so we can't show it. But we have put the link to their website and YouTube site in the description below. So if you want to see what this location looked like back in the day, get your mouse on and click on the link in the description below.
This area you see here is part of the perimeter ditch that would surround the battery, designed to protect it from attacks from infantry in the event of a landing.
Now, you're probably thinking this is an old rusty fence, and you'd be right. This is part of what remains of the perimeter defence. It's called an unclimbable fence, and it was razor sharp metal designed to stop infantry from storming the battery. It's 124 years old. We have come to Penlee Point Cliffs to see what remains of some curious looking steps by the water.
Golly, that sounds exciting.
According to our references, these steps were crucial in the construction of Penlee Battery.
It looks like a dock.
That's because it is a dock. This is the most direct route up to the battery. Apparently, this dock was once constructed for the barges bringing equipment for the construction of the battery. The guns were unloaded right here and heaved up to their position via a horse-drawn wagon.
That makes a lot of sense, Mike. The way into Penlee is a narrow country road. It would be nigh on impossible to get a 10.5-inch caliber weapon in there. Mike, I found something.
Gunny, whereabouts are we?
I would hazard a guess that we are now in the magazine.
So how many magazines would there have been like this?
I'm guessing there'd be at least 6, because there are actually 6 batteries. Well, 6 emplacements as part of the battery, and there'd be 1 magazine service in each.
1971. What do you think this would have been used for?
Just as is perhaps possibly some sort of gate across here.
There's evidence here of something that might have been a table.
2 storerooms here. And this could well have been the ante-area where you would have some sort of clerk or sentry or guard.
Maybe.
Who would be there to check stuff in and out.
We would like to go on record and say that the magazine is off limits to the public. When we found it, it was clear that people had damaged it. Under no circumstances should it be entered, as it is dangerous, and we take no responsibility for your lack of safety. According to our resources, these steps may have led up to the Depression Rangefinder.
DRF, or Depression Rangefinder, refers to optical equipment used to find the range of a target. However, more on that later in the series. But we have it under good authority. There's a battery around here somewhere. Oh no, maybe.
Wow, look at that.
Oh, today's full of surprises.
I'll say, well done, man. That's a lot bigger than the one at Lentney.
Here we are in the remains of a gun pit. As you can see, it's somewhat larger than the one of the examples in Penlee Battery. We think, well, there were at least 6 of these here, and we surmised there would be a magazine servicing each one.
Why are batteries like this now obsolete?
I suppose it's a mixture of things: technology, finance, and tactics.
Explain.
Well, when this battery was built in 1892, the major threat came from the sea.
So the only way to defend the coast was with artillery?
It was the only technology at the time. Fast forward to World War I, air travel was in its infancy. It showed great potential for a new way of fighting and dealing with big gun batteries like this by attacking them from above.
So now you need guns to defend your battery from attack from the sky?
Yes, and on land in World War I, the tank was proving to be very successful at getting through barbed wire and crossing trenches.
So battery defences like a ditch and unclimbable fences could be overcome. Technology like the V2 rocket in World War II, a really long-range warhead, could neutralise these coastal batteries, rendering them useless. But what about the threat of invasion from the sea?
Well, after the conclusion of World War II, the threat of invasion from the sea became somewhat unrealistic, and the cost of maintaining these batteries just became untenable and unnecessary. In 1956, it would seem to be the year that coastal batteries all around the country were decommissioned.
Okay, so there you have it. These batteries are now an outdated institution because the technology exists to render them useless. So what do you think of this location?
Well, there was more here than I was expecting.
Absolutely. Quite dangerous as well, so as always we accept no responsibility for whatever happens to you, so please be careful and always go with the right amount of equipment and armour.
And rope.
And rope.
Don't forget rope.
So there you have it. What did you think of Penlee Battery then, Mike?
Green, Roscoe.
Pretty overgrown then.
Yeah, you can say that again. The site is being reclaimed by nature and it's very difficult, but if you do look closely, you can find evidence of a battery still there.
But you can't really compare Penlee Battery to Penlee Battery.
Agreed. Penlee is more like a time capsule waiting to be excavated.
That's good stuff. Well folks, be sure to check out other episodes if you haven't already. Just follow the link in the description below. Next time on Battery Charge, We travel up the Devon coast to look at a battery built specifically for World War II. Until next time, please question, comment and click subscribe.